Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Showstack, and I'm an associate professor of Spanish at Wichita State University, which is located in Wichita, Kansas. And the title of my presentation is Audiovisual Assignments as Service Learning for Social Justice in Latinx Communities. I'm going to tell you about an assignment that I designed for my Spanish course for heritage speakers when I was unable to implement the course's regular service learning curriculum due to the pandemic. And it turned out to be a project that can be used in future classes. Here's an overview of my presentation. Since the project is social justice oriented, I'll start off by telling you a little bit about the social context of Spanish in Kansas. Then I'll present the assignment, its various components, and the topics my students selected. Next, I'll tell you a little bit about the challenges my students faced when completing the project and the learning opportunities that emerged from those challenges. And finally, I'll offer some practical suggestions for instructors who are interested in implementing a similar assignment with their students. So let's start with the social context in Kansas. The state faces an uphill battle to achieve social justice for speakers of minoritized languages, and Spanish is by far the most widely spoken language here other than English. As in many parts of the US, the state's Latinx population has increased dramatically since the 1990s, but the development of Spanish language services and resources has not kept up with the changes in the state's demographics. Plus, a recent history of anti-immigrant political leadership has added additional barriers. But there are good things happening in Kansas. When I developed this assignment for my Spanish heritage students, I was already engaged in social justice work with Latinx communities here, and I'd been collaborating with a growing Latino leadership community across the state. I was aware that there was increasing social and political consciousness among some groups of Latinxes in Kansas because of ongoing community organizing and media outreach. These are just some of the entities that are supporting Latinx civic engagement in Kansas. My organization, 𝘈𝘶 su voz, which translates as Speak Out, provides a platform for conversations about healthcare language access. Professional organizations like Young Latino Professionals promote community involvement and increase learning and civic engagement. And under the current Democratic Governor, Laura Kelly, the Kansas Hispanic and Latino American Affairs Commission has become very active in dissemination of information in Spanish, advocating for issues that affect Latinx Kansans, and encouraging Latinx Kansans to become civically engaged. There's also Spanish language media like the radio station and website Planeta Venus. In a study I conducted recently, many young Spanish heritage speakers from Kansas described experiences of linguistic injustice, like being forced to broker for their parents in healthcare encounters. And these injustices inspired some of the students to want to maintain and develop their Spanish language skills in order to be able to make a difference in their communities. Previous research also shows that when heritage speakers engage in activities based on community collaboration and social activism as part of the Spanish heritage language curriculum, they can develop new kinds of identities, including activist identities. And building on this research and responding to the evolving socio-political context and our students' desire to make a difference in their communities, I developed the curriculum for my Spanish heritage language course around issues of linguistic social justice in multilingual contexts in Kansas. Before the pandemic, the course included a service learning requirement that most students met by assisting in classrooms or in an after-school program at a local public school with a two-way dual language program. When I taught the class in fall 2020, I replaced the in-person service learning requirement with the audiovisual project. So while digital media projects are not new to Spanish courses for heritage speakers, the increased digitization of communication during the COVID-19 pandemic has afforded new digital educational opportunities. In the new assignment, students worked in groups and created a Spanish language audiovisual project, such as a video or a podcast and website, to address an issue of social equity affecting Latinxes in Kansas. They were instructed to create the project with a specific Spanish-speaking Latinx audience in mind and a specific objective. The assignment allowed them to develop both written and oral communication skills, gain experience working in teams, and connect their Spanish language development with their career goals and social justice. A productive initial step for this project would be to lead a class discussion on how different forms of community work impact the society in diverse ways. For example, instructors may ask students, what is your role in addressing social inequities and making our communities better places to live for everybody? And what kind of impact would you make through volunteering, for example, to provide interpreting services as opposed to activism or advocacy, like writing letters to political representatives? These kinds of questions can frame a discussion that introduces the audiovisual project assignment. The students engaged in the project in different phases throughout the semester: planning and investigation, script writing and revising, production, dissemination, and reflection. As you can see from the grade breakdown shown on this slide, each phase of the project counted toward their class grade. As part of the process of planning and preparation, students from each group contacted a community leader who worked in their area of interest and met with that leader to discuss the community needs related to their topic. After gaining a broader understanding about their selected topic, each group created an action plan. I provided questions to guide students to connect the project with the course content and the present socio-historical moment, and to consider the audience and expected impact of the project. The next step was for students to write a script if they were creating a video, or a text about their podcast to post online if they had chosen to create a podcast. The script would be used for subtitles in the video and therefore needed to be created ahead of time and edited. And the website text would actually be posted to a website created by the students and thus needed to be in good shape as well. All of these initial steps were graded separately, and the completed project was graded with a rubric, which I'll show in a moment. Disseminating the project to the intended audience and reporting on its impact was also required, and the students had to evaluate their own work and the work of their peers. And finally, they submitted to the Wichita State Service Learning Showcase, which provided an opportunity to reflect on the process and share their work with the university community. In fall 2020, the students' projects included a video for Spanish-speaking patients in Kansas that explained the legislative framework requiring healthcare institutions to offer qualified interpreters and provided information about how to access interpreting services for healthcare encounters. A video about mental health in Latinx communities, whose purpose was to destigmatize mental health issues and encourage people to open up about their experiences and obtain professional help when needed. And a video for Spanish-speaking immigrants, providing information about what to do when detained by law enforcement. And finally, a PowerPoint with a linked podcast that encouraged Latinx Kansans to vote. These are screenshots from the video of the group that chose to focus on language access. For dissemination, it was posted on the website of my organization, Alce Su Voz. And a project from spring 2021 that addressed domestic violence was posted on the Spanish language news website, Planeta Venus. So in case any of you want to do this project with your students, it's important to provide them with a rubric before they create their audiovisual materials so they know what they're going to be graded on. When I graded the students' materials, I evaluated 5 categories, and here you can see the descriptions of what was required to earn a top score in each category. The graded categories were audio content, audio language, subtitles or script, visual components, and potential impact. The final assignment was to reflect on the process of creating and disseminating the project and on the project's impact on its intended audience. The students reflected on the challenges they faced and overcame in the process, the connection with the class readings, and what they learned from the project, the skills and knowledge that they contributed to the project, their personal growth, including awareness of what they could do in Spanish, and how they plan to continue with their interest in their chosen topic in the future. I also incorporated concepts from our university's annual service learning showcase into the reflection assignment, and I required the students to submit a digital poster for the showcase. So although I didn't conduct a study on the impact of this project on the students, I can tell you a little bit about their experiences based on my conversations with them and their written reflections. In their reflections, the students described challenges that resulted in new learning and skill development. For example, the students who created the mental health video described the challenge of learning vocabulary associated with their topic and the learning benefit of having to use vocabulary that was new to them in Spanish. All 4 of the students in the group that worked on the topic of immigration commented on the challenges and successes of working as a group when they were unable to meet face-to-face. Although the physical distance created challenges for group work, it also created opportunities to develop digital collaboration skills. In addition, students challenged previously held perceptions and circulating societal and institutional discourses about what they, as children of immigrants, could do with the Spanish language. Some of the students may not have considered the possibilities for using Spanish to promote civic awareness in Latinx communities in the US before participating in the course. The audiovisual project offered them an opportunity to develop new identities through using Spanish in new formats for diverse audiences. At the same time, the project challenged the institutional discourses that promote Spanish primarily as a commodity or tool for professional success. On the other hand, there were students in each group who chose their topic because it related to their majors and career goals. Being able to work on a topic that was relevant to goals outside of language learning connected their language study with other areas of interest. As with any first-time assignment, the first year of implementing this project came with challenges, and I plan to do some things differently the next time I teach the class. Based on my experiences, I recommend that instructors start the project early in the semester, as early as feasible, so that students have time to thoroughly complete all the steps. Also, to strongly emphasize thinking about the project audience and impact during initial discussions of the project. Make sure that students clearly understand the purpose of each step. And finally, I recommend that instructors think ahead about their expectations for language use during group work. In case you want to know more, I have a paper on this project that's going to be published in a new journal called Spanish as a Heritage Language. And this is the current citation for the paper. And finally, here are the references I drew from in this presentation. Thank you again for your interest in my project, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.